the human neural system. It has seen. Okay, I already done this. To come to the downside. Okay, so the central neural system, right? So the brain can divide into three major parts, that is forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. So forebrain includes cerebrum, further divides into cerebral hemisphere and left cerebral hemisphere, and lined by fibers like tract, that is corpus callosum, that divides into them. Then after that it is thalamus, motor sensory signaling things thalamus does, and hypothalamus, urge for eating, temperature, and all that. So forebrain, cerebrum, thalamus, and hypothalamus. So on the other side it's like midbrain. So on the below that it's pons, cerebellum, and medulla. That's the hindbrain. And on that side it is cerebral aqueduct. Okay, cerebral aqueduct that passes from midbrain through the spinal cord. Okay, so it is spinal cord. So you can see, so this is the sagittal section of the human brain. Now forebrain. So forebrain consists of cerebellum, thalamus, hypothalamus. I already told you. Now association areas. So what are they? So the cerebral cortex contains motor areas, sensory areas, and large regions that are neither clearly sensory nor motor in function. So these are association areas, and they functions complex like intersensory association, memory and communication. So this is like cerebral cortex. Okay, now cerebral cortex. Okay, okay. Okay, so now what is cerebral cortex? It is a kind of layer that covers the cerebral hemisphere. Now it has neuron cell bodies, so gray in color. Okay, now so fibers of tracts are covered with myelin sheath, which constitute the inner part of the cerebral hemisphere, right? So now they are white in appearance because they have the white matter. So this is it, like thalamus, major coordinating center for sensory and motor signaling. Now the hypothalamus lies at the base of the thalamus centers, which control body temperature, urge for eating and drinking. So and the hypothalamus has groups of neurosecretory cells secrete hormones. These are hypothalamic hormones. Now inner parts of cerebral hemispheres and a group of associated deep structure like amygdalum, hippocampus, they form complex structure called limbic lobe or limbic system. Now along with hypothalamus, so all these things functions as regulation of sexual behavior, expression of emotional reactions, excitement, pleasure, rage, fear, and motivation. Now midbrain. So it's located between the thalamus and hypothalamus of the forebrain and pons of the hindbrain. Hindbrain has pons, cerebellum, and medulla oblongata. So the first part of the midbrain we are talking about. The dorsal portion of the midbrain consists mainly of four round swellings, that is lobes, called corpora quadrigemina. Now hindbrain. Hindbrain has pons, cerebellum, and medulla. Medulla, also called medulla oblongata. So pons consist of fiber tracts that interconnect different regions of the brain. Now cerebellum has very convoluted surface in order to provide the additional space for many more neurons. The medulla of the brain is connected to the spinal cord. Now medulla contains centers which control respiration, cardiovascular reflexes, and gastric secretions. Now the brainstem. Brainstem contains midbrain, pons, and medulla oblongata. So two parts of the hindbrain except the cerebellum. Brainstem forms the connection between the brain and spinal cord. Neurons, the functional units of neural system, are excitable cells due to a differential configuration gradient of ions across the membrane. The midbrain receives and integrates visual, tactile, auditory inputs. The cerebellum integrates information received from the semicircular canals of the ear and the auditory system. So this is it. This is your chapter. So